All right, Igor. I don't know if you remember, but about almost a year ago, it was last summer, somewhere in June or July. You and I, we met.
Yeah.
Obviously through Erica. We
Uh-huh.
came down here to Texas, and you actually used me as one of your projects. You
Yes.
stretched me out, man, had
Yeah.
me folded up like a pretzel, and it hurt, but it was the good kind of pain.
The good kind
Yeah,
of thing, huh?
and it instantly made me think of, okay, me as a former athlete, I went about strength training and conditioning probably the the wrong way. So in your experience, what would you say is the most common mistake that athletes make when they're looking at physical fitness, trying to get themselves ready to go and compete at a high level, and when it comes to recovery, so they can be ready to do it again the next day?
Hmm. Well, I think like a lot of times, as an athlete, because I was an athlete too,
Hmm.
and we just get, excited about it being good and trying to be as best as we can be.
Right.
And sometimes we kind of like go a little bit over the board with training,
Hmm.
where I guess like it's like punishing the body a lot in terms of, what you do, how much you do, and all, right? And I think like it's very important. I think like one thing that athletes need to understand, and I think like for the time that I've been doing this, I've been coaching sports and gymnastics for like, man, 38 years now, you know.
Mm.
So that's a long time. So,
Yeah.
and I seen pretty much everything. Like if you talk about like athletes, how they do, and how they train. And I think like a lot of times because we want to be the best we can be, we kind of overtrain a little bit,
Right.
right? And I understand that, and because you just want to try to do as best you can. You want to make sure that you're feeling good. I went to work out. I sweated. I did this good. I worked as hard as I can.
Right.
And I think like sometimes we we are our own enemy sometimes.
Hmm.
All right.
For sure.
So I think like
Doing
if
more
we
harm
can
than
kind of
good.
like stop sometime and look at it, and especially when you know injuries come and then like you start getting like you get an injury and then you get another injury and you get another injury and it's like, oh man, what like what am I doing here? You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I think sometimes we really don't stop to kind of like, hey, let me kind of just kind of go through this and see what's going on, right? And I think a lot of times because we just go so hard on it, we forget about that our body is just like a machine.
Mm.
That I see a lot of times this way. Okay, so like if I'm gonna go buy a car, let's say I want to buy a Porsche, right? It's a very good car, I
Very
guess.
nice.
A Porsche or
At least it looks
or
good.
a Bentley or whatever.
Right.
You're never gonna put the regular gas there, right?
Never.
So you're gonna put the best gas in the market, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what they already said. That's what they do.
Hmm.
So I think to the body is the same. I think like if you want to be an athlete that want to have a long career, longevity, and you have to think about those things. What you put in your body is pretty much how you're gonna be as an athlete,
Hmm.
and how long you're gonna be doing that in a higher level.
Sure.
So so treat your body like your car, and make sure that you put the right fuel, train the right way,
Hmm.
don't overdo, right? And I think like I'm telling you, I've done that before.
You
Like
overtrained?
yeah.
Okay.
I think like if I had if I was training today, I would not train the way I trained before. I would train completely different. And even as a coach, I coach much differently 20 years ago than I'm coaching now. Like 20 years ago, it was a lot like, I know everything, do the way I want it,
Right.
and blah, blah, blah. And then I find out that by making mistakes a lot of time,
Hmm.
you learn. You
Yeah.
can't learn without making mistakes. And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Hmm.
So today I coach completely different. I see the thing, I understand, I see how much, sometimes you go with your train and then you get into that overtraining thing. So you gotta kind of like, okay, so let me look at here, let me listen to the athlete more. Hey, so how you feeling here? How's everything going? So it's very important that communication. And sometimes I know athletes they just want to go, and a lot of
Push
times
harder.
they're afraid to just say, I don't know, I feel a little pain here, I feel a little thing here, but I'm going to keep going.
I think that's a pride thing too.
Yes, pride is a lot. Like I said, I was an athlete. You were an athlete,
Yes, sir. Oh yeah.
We just like, hey, whatever, man. It's a little pain. Tomorrow will be better.
Right.
I do a little treatment over here, put some ice in and stuff, and I'll be better. But I think is a lot of times those little pain in the beginning can be a factor during the season.
For sure.
Okay. And a lot of times I feel that, just with the experience that I had, sometimes I think those little overtraining and little injuries is not much about the time that you got that, but the preparation that you had. Okay. So, because like I think this way, like when you were off season, you always, you work hard, your body feels good, right? So you feel like you're Superman. Oh, because everything is good. You in the top of your performance in your peak.
When it's good, it's great.
Before you go to camp, before you go to a season, so your body doesn't feel much. But I think like a lot of times, little things that you feel, little injuries or little pain or little things, because you're so strong, you feel good, you don't really pay attention much on that, right? But then when you go into the season where you'll not have that load of workout where keep you every day doing your weights or doing your thing, where you feel like, man, I feel good, I feel the training is nice, feel a little pain here and there, but those things is gonna be okay, although some but then when you go into the season, you don't do the amount of conditioning that you do, it drops, and what goes up is what you do as an athlete at that sport, right? Basketball, football. Right. So now you're doing more routes, you're doing more basketball drills and all. So the conditioning drop a little bit. Right? So now you're getting more in that shape of training, or like competing, doing the basketball stuff, doing games and all. So you get in the shape of getting to football, or basketball shape, but then your conditioning drop a little bit.
So in other words, you're not really maintaining it.
So you're not maintaining because like you have to be more focused on the football or the basketball, like the games and stuff. So you minimize the amount of the condition that you do. So I think your body get more in a shape of this of the sport of the basketball, football, but then physically you lose a little bit of like that muscle thing. The muscle mass,
right?
Like now is more conditioning. Like more like you training to do the 17 games, the 16 game in the season,
right?
So that's what you do it every day at camp, and then so weights and stuff you're not doing anymore as much.
Sure.
So then I think like because your body is started getting more into, what am I trying to say? The game situation. So then sometimes those little pains that you had in the beginning, it started showing up. So then sometimes injury coming that way, I think. And I believe it because I see that a lot of times in the sports and the stuff that I do.
Right.
Sometimes I think, I try to change it the way the off season is. So I try to make aware, okay, so let's not do much of like, pounding in the body right now. So let's try to figure it out a way that we can get stronger, work harder, get your heart rate up, but without that much of pounding and that much of punishing your body.
I got you.
And that's one of the reasons that I started doing my trampoline workout.
What would you say is the most common cause of injuries, like let's say undertraining or overtraining?
Well, if you're under training, you're not going to be ready to go do, what do you need to do, as a football player or basketball player or a baseball player.
Right. Any athlete.
If you're overtraining, so then your body can get a little bit more. I think both can be negative.
Right.
If you don't really pay attention on what you're doing and how much you do and all. Right. So if you're under training, you're not going to be ready. If you're overtraining, you might hurt yourself overtraining. So you gotta try to find like the perfect, like line of I'm not overtraining, I'm not under training, but I'm training enough where I'm saving my body to the season. I make sure I'm strong, I'm fast, I'm powerful, and without that undertraining or sometimes overtraining.
Right. Is that up to the athlete to listen to their own body to be able to know how much is too much, or is that on the expert you? Are you able to assess them and say, okay, for this particular individual, I think we're getting to where we need to be, or nah, we need to push it a little further? Like, how do you make that call?
Okay, well, as a coach, you always want to push a little bit more, right? So, like, if the athlete give it to you, you always want to give more. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they come and they want to do it, like, man, that person come excited about it, they're ready to go, and you get excited too.
Yeah.
But like, that's how I was when I was a younger coach. Like, man, I want to go and work hard today and every day go hard and push every day hard.
Yeah, let's top.
And again, a lot of times the athletes, they're gonna listen to you, right?
Sure.
So that's why it's so important that you learn, and with experience, to figure it out. Okay, is this too much or not too much?
Mm-hmm.
So should I go a little bit more now, or should I wait a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
As a coach, that's what you need to do. But a lot of times athletes, they just want to keep going, because they're competitive, because they are, like, man, I can do one more set, or I can do one more. You know how it is, you never want to stop. But on the other hand, I think that's important too, that you pass to that athlete, hey, I think today's enough. I think today's good. You got to rest it. You got to make sure you go home and eat well. Make sure you drink a lot of water. Make sure you sleep good.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure your body's recovering. So you're doing your massage, you are stretching, your therapy, So all those things are part of being a good athlete. It's not just work.
Right.
Like today, I think, we have everything that we needed to have a healthy body, for a long time.
A lot of resources.
When I remember when I was doing track, when I was doing, I did soccer, I did basketball. We didn't have it. Like you were hurt, ice.
And ice was at the end of the day.
Hey,
so you're gonna finish your competition.
Get on an ice tub or get in a hot tub, and that's it.
Right.
So today we got everything we needed. If you treat your body, like I said, I think it's very important that athletes today and coaches, if the athletes see their body as their business, they're gonna go forever.
Right.
Okay. So see your body as a business. Okay. So like, I just open a business. I gotta make sure I work hard. I gotta make sure the business is gonna flourish. I gotta make sure that business is gonna grow. Right. So I gotta pay attention on little things. So a base has to be strong. You gotta make sure everything is in place. And your body is the same thing. So if you don't want your body to, go bankrupt, you don't want your body to, be destroyed. So you got to make sure you take care of that. Take care of your body as a business. See your body as a business, because, it is a business. Sure. Athletes today, that's all they do. They train, they rest, they take care of themselves, and they make a lot of money, so make sure to take care of your body. I think it's the most important thing. Listen to your body, and that's where you make the money. That's where people go to watch you, to be over there playing, to be over there healthy playing. Mm-hmm. So just see your body as a business. Take care of your body as much as you can, and I think you can play for long time.
For sure. When it comes to sports, you've mentioned that you coach, right? And really, I didn't know to what extent until now, just sitting with you. What all sports have you coached, or what sports do you coach?
Well, I started coaching when I was 14 years old.
When you were 14?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I was. I had my first group. My life started very early. Like I said, I grew up in Brazil, right?
Okay.
I was born in Brazil. That's home.
All right.
And I grew up, we're a poor family. My mom worked 2-3 jobs, my grandma worked 2 jobs. And since I was little, I was the only child. So, but my mom and my family, they had a lot of brothers and sisters. So, so it was not an easy life growing up. Mm-hmm. But we were happy though. The family was there. I always had somebody there to make sure that Igor doing the right thing. My mom was most of the time working. My grandma working, but he spent a lot of time with me and stuff. and I think my grandma just wanted me. My mom and my grandma, they want me to start work pretty early, right? So I remember, and that's funny because my first work, like, well, you go to school, you do the school and stuff, and then you come and do your homework. But I think like my grandma, I always like, man, I gotta get this kid, to understand the value of money or the value of work or the value to respect what you have. And we didn't have much, you know what I'm saying? So I remember, I think I was like 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old. And I think it was great. It was beautiful what she did. So, I'll go to school, I'll come back home, do my homework and stuff. And then she would come to me and said, okay, Igor, so I think I'm going to get you to do some work, and I was like, I'm 8 years old, like what kind of work you can give it to me?
Right.
Like, I should be doing all this stuff. It was like, well, you come and you do your stuff. So I think I'm going to get you to work maybe 1 or 2 times a week. Just kind of do, I think that'll be good for you. So, okay, whatever. So I got home one day, finished my homework. She had a little basket of lettuce, wrapping lettuce and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we go sell that to the neighbors. And I had to go and sell those letters.
Oh, now, did you have to set the price or?
No, she had the price. She had everything. So listen, you got, let's say inside the basket was maybe like 10 or 15.
Okay.
Lettuce.
The balls of them, the heads of them.
So you had to go and sell it. So I would go around and I didn't know much what to do. I was like, just come to people like, hey, do you want to buy this? And don't know much about it, but and after a while, I think I got because you didn't want to come back with those letters that
right. That's
basket,
like I failed.
You have a work to do it. So I would figure out way to sell it. And in the beginning, it was kind of hard, like people were like, hey, what are you doing and stuff. Like, yeah, like we're just trying to sell this stuff. I think like, do you want to buy? Those are good. We grew this at home and stuff. So, we started. That's how I started getting connected to other people and really started understanding like how to, talk to people, how to get people to listen to what you got to say or to like, something you want to sell or something you want to give, so like, I think that's important, that communication. I think I started that way. And it was not easy because, you knock it. I was like, hey, hello, I have that here. So do you want to buy it? This is the price. And then after a while, people already knew. So around where I lived, people already knew who Igor was and who my grandma was. And it was like, okay, all right, well, let's get this one today, and they'll pay, give me the money. I was like, oh man. And then all of a sudden you sell the whole thing and you got that little money there.
Right.
So you were all excited about it. It's like, oh my gosh.
To feel good now.
But we always had to come and get the money to grandma.
Right.
That's where the money would go. And that's how I started working, and they did it pretty well. So I was 1 or 2 times a week, and I was doing some sport at that time. I did a little bit of gymnastics, a little bit of track. So I was active, like doing sports and stuff. But we didn't have much money, so we couldn't do much. But the good thing too, like in Brazil, a lot of times, like the most of the time, like sports is free. So everything, everything is, it's free. So you if you find a place, like you have a lot of governments, sport places that you can go and sign yourself up and do it. But like I said again, like we didn't have much time to do it. Like a lot of times I was working or I had to go to school. Because like the most of the people in my family didn't go to college. And I think my mom and my grandma really want me to be, you're going to go to college. You're going to go finish this, so you're going to be somebody. So we got to start earlier. You need to get out there. You need to, put yourself out there and learn how the world operated, So I was doing this and selling this thing, but I was like tired of doing this thing. And I was like, man, like, is there any other thing I can do? Like maybe... So she figured out a place that for me to start going. Here in America, you guys call the Boy Scouts. In Brazil, it's a little different. The Boy Scouts there, it was operated by a guy from the army, a sergeant.
All right.
So there was a place where, like poor kids, would go there, and you will learn how to. Do things, like build stuff, and while you were doing all this, like you would clean things, you would build stuff. While you were doing all this, they would find the jobs for you around the city. in banks or furniture store or all those things like gas station, whatever. So you would be part of their organization,
Right.
and they would send you to work in the place. So let's say I started, like that. I was thinking maybe 9 or 10 years old. I went to go to this Boy Scouts, and I was there for maybe like 2 or 3 months. They found me a job on this furniture store. So, and I went to work there. I was like 10, and you do like easy jobs, you just like help clean up here, and, move the furniture or, help, you do whatever you need to do there, clean up and whatever.
Whatever needs to be done.
Whatever needs to be done. And you were there for maybe like 2 or 3 hours.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's all right.
So they would go and they wouldn't pay you. They would pay the organization. The organization would pay you, right? But the cool thing about this is, so every month you would get your paycheck, right? But before you do the paycheck, you had to do the 10 commandments. You had to do it. And if you don't pass, you won't get your paycheck.
Oh, wow.
So I'm telling you, like, so that was strict.
Anyway,
like, I remember, like, it was all those little kids, all those kids over there waiting to get their paycheck and stuff. But you gotta study the 10 commandments.
You gotta remember.
You gotta say it. And
that's the
over there,
educational piece.
Oh yeah, and if you messed up, you gotta go back and study again until you get it. So like all those things are things that it was cool. It was like, I just learned a lot of things. We would do tons of things. He would bring stuff for you to do, like build the things, clean up stuff, like fix your bike, like all those things are things that you were learning during the process. And I was there from 10 years old all the way until before I went to the Army. Until I was 17.
You went to the Army at 17?
Well, 18, because in Brazil it's
well,
mandatory, so you got to do it. So
right.
when you turn 18, you got to go, right? So, but, we were already in that regiment of, like, pay attention on things. You make sure, clean your stuff, So it was a good transition from, the Boy Scouts into the Army and stuff. But and I think like all those, it kind of helped me, grow as a coach. Like I said, I started coaching, I was 14. I was working in that place maybe like, 3-4 times a week, going coach gymnastics when I was little, so like I said, I started 14. I have my first group and never stopped since. I started coaching till today. And
wow. What was that age group? If you're 14,
there was kids around 6 to 7 years old.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you love it right away, or was it a
like the funny thing about it is like I did gymnastics a little bit when I was little, and I had a gymnastics coach there, that had his group and his stuff, and I always was kind of like over there watching after we did gymnastics because I want to learn.
Right.
So I remember they were training for a competition that day, and one of the girls got hurt. Okay, and it was one coach only at that time, and I was over there watching and stuff. So she got hurt, and he had to take her to the hospital. And he goes, said, Igor, can you watch those girls here? And the boys, until I go and do this. And I said, well, yeah, I'll watch. So now I'm over there watching them. I feel like, oh man, I'm a coach. I feel like a coach here.
Yeah.
So then I was like, man, I think I can do this. So I talked to him about it, and he said, I really like it. Is there any way I can start a group? So he gave me a group of 6, 7 years old kids, like 7, 8, gymnasts, and I started work with them and never stopped. I've been coaching till today. Yeah.
Talk about finding your passion early, my man.
Oh yeah, very early.
Now you said a couple of sentences ago. You said the way you coach now is much different from the way you used to coach 20 some odd years ago. In what ways would you say that you have evolved?
Well, I think like a lot of times when you were a young coach, you want more than the athlete.
Yes.
Okay.
I totally get it.
So when you want more than the athlete, and then you kind of you hit the wall because you don't understand, because you wanted them to do so bad, and sometimes athletes, they're too young to understand, how good they are or how far they can go. So you're trying to push them because the ability and the potential they have.
Right. You see.
So you really want to, like, come on, let's go, let's do it. You can do it, and blah blah blah. But then you just by the excitement, their will, to be good as a coach, and you end up forgetting the athlete.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And is the athlete want to do it? You know, like, is that too much? Am I doing too much? You know, because, and like I said, like today, I just see differently. You know, like I see the athletes, I see when they come, and I know what we need to do. I know how many routines we need to do. I know how many repetitions you need to do. But in the other hands, I gotta see it. You know, are you hurt today, or are you okay? Everything is okay. Because, you know, like after you coach a long time, it's, you know, the athlete right when he walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you work with younger athletes, because you never know what happened at home.
Right.
You know, what's going on, all that. So all this is a factor that you have to see as a coach.
Sure.
And as when you were young, you don't. You know, like, hey, we got to go. You know, like some athletes sometimes come and you can see a little bit sad, a little bit of that. And when you're young, you don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, well, what's wrong with you? Why you not working? You know, so you don't take the time
Sure.
to figure it out, the athlete, and
Right.
and find out a lot of times, you know, what's going on, you know. And as an athlete, a lot of times, you know, or you have too much homework to do, or you didn't have a good grades and stuff, and you go work out and you upset about it, or you just, your mind is not there.
Mm-hmm.
Like today, I see it, you know, like, hey, what's going on? You okay? Is everything okay? You know, are you hurt? Or, you know, of course they need to work, they need to do what they need to do.
Right.
But today, my experience just don't let my excitement, you know, be ahead of my experience. So that's why I think I coach completely different today. And I think, like, you know, I can be a much more successful coach that way than like I was 20, 25 years ago.
To me, what you just described is basically you have your ego in check.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a tough thing
deal.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I got to watch you in action today.
Yeah.
And what I want to ask you, when you have your athletes together, right? A group of them, no matter how large or how small the groups are, and you're putting them through whatever regimen you have for them that day, is it sports specific or is it pretty much all encompassing?
Well, you know, because like you said today, you know, I have a lot of different, you know, I had basketball there, I have football, you know, like, and sometimes I have soccer, I have all the sports together, right?
Right.
So you can be very specific if I'm working just with football players, or basketball player can be specific. Mm-hmm. But I think, like, if you have all of them combined, you have to make where it's more a physical thing, but at the same time enjoyable for them.
Sure.
Right? Where everybody's working on that specific ability, but that specific ability is for everybody. It's not just for the football or just for the basketball. You know, it's a general exercise that we're going through. Mm-hmm. But in the same time, it's not just specific for that sport. So everybody needs to do. Everybody can do it and get, you know, better doing that, you know, exercise. So it's not just like, okay, I'm doing for football, let me just be specific on football today. I'm doing basketball, I'm going to be specific on basketball. So, you know, the whole thing that you saw there today is a general thing that every athlete in every sport needs to do. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's what we did that today. So, you know.
Tell me about the stretching. The stretching is where I'm most fascinated. And I'm going to figure out a way to formulate what question I really want to ask you. But when you look at the human body, and when you were putting my body through the rigors, maybe about 8, 9, 10 months ago, I was wondering, as I was getting torn apart, basically, in a good way, I'm like, man, what made you take my limb and turn it this way? You know, how are you knowing, okay, this is what this particular body needs. This is the range of motion we're going to push to, but this is the line we're not going to cross. Like, where's your mind at when you're going through all of that? Because I was fascinated, man. I ain't going to lie.
Well, you know, like I said, I've been coaching gymnastics for a long time.
Right.
In gymnastics, you know, you have to make sure those gymnasts are flexible, you know, because it's part of their competitive thing. So, you know, they gotta, if they're not flexible, they can lose points on that. So, you know, you got to make sure you do that. So flexibility is being, you know, stretching and stuff is being going in my life, you know, since the beginning. Since the beginning, I started coaching. And even before that, you know, like doing the sports in a young age. But I think, like, you know, like the stretch for gymnastics and for like ballet or for those things is a little different. The difference is not that's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. But the way we stretch gymnasts, you know, the way you would do it is different than the way I stretch a football player or a basketball player and stuff.
Oh.
Because I think I see that way. You know, I grew up in Brazil. Like, we play soccer. I never knew football. You know, like I knew
American
basketball,
football?
but American football I never really. You know, I knew football, soccer, right?
Right.
So I moved to America, and like I didn't understand nothing of that. You know, like I didn't understand the rules. I didn't understand nothing on it. But I love it. I mean, this is great. I wish I was here when I was younger, because
Yeah.
I think I could play that. You know, so. And I'm like coaching gymnastics here, watching football and stuff, and I see like a lot of athletes like getting hurt. And gymnastics, you know, they get hurt too, but you know, like not as much as that of the other sport does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in terms of, you know, like hamstrings, or you always watching and like, you know, the guys getting hurt here or getting hurt there, and I was like, well, like, are they stretching much? You know, like, did those guys stretching much? And like, I don't know. You know, like, I was not much involved with that sport at that time to know about them enough to, you know, see, like, you know, I just watch it.
Right.
And when I watch it, you know, I see those guys just jumping, you know, to each other and falling backwards and turning, and their body turning, and they're like people falling on them. They're getting caught from behind, and then, you know, like their leg twist and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man.
So then I started kind of like watching and freeze that position and kind of like take a picture of it. Right? And then look at it, you know, especially when guys was getting hurt, right? You know, so they sometimes, you see that they get hurt, they show it, you know, you can see it, you can stop and go, and you know, so I take pictures and stuff. I'm like, well, you know, like, look at the position, the way they go. Like, did they ever go stretch that way, you know, before they go to the field? You know, like, I know they're falling, they're twisting weird position, then they get up, or, you know, limpy, or, you know, don't feeling good, but the position that they fall is like, did they ever go to that position?
Probably.
And I was like, probably not, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was like, well, so why don't I just start doing that? You know? So then I started checking and doing some of that stuff with my gymnast. You know, like trying some position, you know, and just, you know, okay, right, or I saw this, so let me try this here. And yeah, I think, like, you know, and in gymnastics, we try to go through every position that we can, right? We're trying to make sure that the girls and the boys are, you know, flexible, you know, and work positions that other sports normally don't bring in it. So that's why I was like, well, you know, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the gymnastics stretching with some modification, you know, in positions that people don't really normally go through it. And I'm going to bring it to football and basketball and those other sports. You know, and I was like, well, yeah, let me do that. Let me come up with a routine and try to get that where, you know, I can go through the whole body. You know, it started from the feet all the way to the neck, you know, and everything. And that's how I put that routine together.
Man, so you're self-taught.
Yes.
Wowzers.
Yeah. With that routine, yes. Because, you know, I went to college, I did physical education. You know, I learned everything I need to do in terms of, you know, like body anatomy and all that, right? So it's you know, physical education is very intense in Brazil. It's a 4-year college. You know what I'm saying? You know, you'll learn everything you needed, you know, to be able, you know, to coach and, you know, train somebody and flexibility and all that kind of stuff. But gymnastics, I've been doing that for a long time. So I had the experience in gymnastics.
Sure.
You know, and one thing that's important too, I think, like, for people to know, and I think, like, people to stretch, you know, like, you know, I don't know if people understand a lot, you know, what flexibility means, right? It's very important to know what flexibility means, okay? So flexibility, it's the ability to bend without breaking.
Simply put.
That's it. You know, like, if you see a tree in the wind,
yes, sir,
you know, a bend, come right back, right?
Right.
I think that's the same idea, you know, like, because sometimes, you know, with flexibility, you're trying to figure it out, right? You try to, okay, so, you know, you talk. But I think it's simple. It's the ability to bend without breaking. Okay? So that's flexibility.
Yes, sir.
But then you got range of motion. Okay?
I'm ready for this here.
Right? So range of motion is the ability to move your articulation as far as you can go. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to lift my arms up here,
right.
So this is my range. That's how far I can go.
Right.
Right? So that's important to know. So if I'm going to put my legs up, how far my legs go is the range. That's a range of motion, mm-hmm. right? So then when you combine that and then you have mobility, right? Mobility is the ability to move freely. Okay? So I think is for me to get the way I wanted those athletes to be, I have to connect all those things together.
Right.
Right? I have to have a good flexibility, a good mobility to have a good range of motion to have a good mobility. Because if the athlete is flexible, have a good range of motion, he's gonna move in the field freely.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's why one of the things that we put it on our new logo now, the cheetah. The animal cheetah. Right? That's my new logo. And I think like a lot of guys, they came to me and asked me, why did you pick the cheetah? And I was like, have you ever watched the cheetah?
I had when I was a little boy, but just in fascination. I know.
No, but if you watch the cheetah in a slow motion, the way they fold their body to take power to extend it, they run 70 miles an hour.
That's correct.
And now, if you see a cheetah going to try to get the prayer, like the antelope, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the speed and the ability to go 70 miles a year and turn, it's unbelievable. Okay, so the flexibility they have, the range of motion that they have, and the mobility they have, it's unbelievable. So you combine all that, that's where all this speed is. So now, why did the athletes don't try to be like a cheetah?
Now it's got to be possible to increase one's flexibility, mobility, and range of motion. How in the world do you do that?
Well, okay, so you got to remember, as early as you can start it, that better for you, right?
Right.
Okay, and the thing is, a lot of times, like I wish athletes would be a little bit more willing to learn more about flexibility, range of motion, and mobility.
Right. Because
it's a very, very important part of your career and longevity, right? So like now, I try to start stretching athletes outside gymnastics much earlier in like elementary school, high school, right? So football player, basketball player, and like baseball player. But the most of my athletes is professional athletes, right?
Yes.
And you got to remember their body already formed. Everything is an adult.
Yeah, they're blossomed.
So it's everything there is, formed. Mm-hmm. So it's much harder for you to develop your flexibility, your range of motion, and your mobility there. But that's my job. That's what I do. So I go to that body every day, and every day I move the body. Like every position, we go through that position. We go through those movements. We go through those like position that you said, like put it like you feel like a pretzel.
Oh yeah.
Right. So those positions that a lot of times they don't work on it, but it happen in the field. If you jump up, in a basketball to lay off the ball, and then you go down, you land in somebody's feet, you roll your ankle. So all those things, all those positions, mobility and range, and and the way you move your body, you're gonna use it when you do it in a sport. So you have to put the body through those positions, and so that's what I do. That's why I decided to put the routine together where, that's what we need to do. And this is exactly what happened when the athlete got hurt. Right. So now let's go through this position. Let's go through those because the body will remember.
Right. Muscle memory, as they say.
Muscle memory.
Yes, sir.
And that's important. Like I feel that, when you start more focused on those things, you can feel in the field, man, I remember that position that you put me in it. I had an athlete coming to me and said, man, Igor, I'm playing now, when I get tackled and stuff and I fall and all those guys, I can feel those positions. So now I'm not worrying anymore. I had guys tell me that.
Right.
So like I feel good that, somebody, grab me or pull me from, my leg from behind and stuff, like I feel more comfortable, right. Falling or people falling on me and stuff. So,
man. Well, I'm gonna pivot just a little bit, and you correct me if I misspeak. Yeah. But in my opinion, you seem to be a very low key guy, very under the radar. But you've got a pretty lengthy clientele. How does one go about linking up with Igor? Do you find them or they find you?
Well, right now it's more they speaking and talking about it.
Word of mouth, huh?
Yeah, because like I try to stay like really under the radar, like you just said.
Yes, sir.
Because like the thing is, like this whole thing started, like well, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
But it really catched up, right when we had the lockout in 2008. I think it was 2008.
2008 or 9, one of those.
Yes,
11. We're both off.
2011.
Okay,
Okay, well, that's when the lockout started.
10 years ago, Jesus.
But like that's where it really picked up big time, because I was doing it with some athletes and stuff. I was already doing some work and all that. But like I said, I was coaching gymnastics one day at my gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this guy walking in. He walking in and looking for me, and he was like, "Well, I didn't ask much of the name. It's like, well, is Igor here?" I was like, "Well, I'm Igor." And I said, "Well, I heard you do some workout and some stretching and stuff, and I would like to do some of that." And I was like, "Okay, cool, yeah." And I was at the break at that time. I said, "Well, let's go ahead and try to see how your body feels and stuff." That time I didn't really care to ask about the name of the athlete.
Right.
I didn't know him much.
Yeah.
Because like again, I know football, but the most of the time the guys got a helmet on it.
Right.
You don't recognize the name. You know the name,
mm-hmm.
but he didn't recognize. So I'm working with this guy for the whole week, and I don't know. I just never asked the name much. I was like, okay, cool. Hey, what's up, Eddie? Let's go. Come on.
Right.
We were talking and stuff, and so the end of the week came, and he's like, well, so how much I pay you? I was like, okay, well, this much, and blah blah blah. And he said, okay, let me write you a check. So he wrote me a check, Marion Barber III.
Ooh.
I was like,
look at you, Igor.
Are you Marion Barber? And Marion Barber at that time here, it was a big time. It was like, Marion Barber.
That's right.
So I was like, I be with this guy the whole time. And this is Marion Barber, and then I didn't know it was Marion Barber. I was like, you Marion Barber. Marion is very quiet, like he doesn't really talk much, like. So I was like, yeah, Marion Barber, but no big deal, and I'm in a helmet all the time. I know people don't, I was like, okay, cool. So the following week, Marion brought 10 to 15 guys there.
Oh man. Yeah, that's huge, Igor. That's huge, man.
You walk in the door with Felix Jones, Tashard Choice.
Right.
I don't even remember. It was so, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? And he come there and said, man, this guy is the best coach, you can have it. He's like, is all this gymnastics workout, and it's the best thing that I can do. It's the best thing you can do it. And all the stretching that he does is unbelievable. So now I have all those guys on the floor by myself. He's stretching all those people. So I go stretch one here, go move over there, and go move over there. And it's like, man, I'm sweaty. I'm getting you know. But everybody loved it.
Sure.
The guy's like, man, I got to keep coming.
How excited were you? Was some of it like nerves at first, or were you just like, yeah, I'm pumped?
I don't think so. I had time to be nervous. I really didn't.
You just had
I think it's that time sometimes. I think that you see the opportunity, you can be scared about it.
Right.
But it's okay to be scared though.
Mm-hmm.
Just take it.
Right.
And if you can handle, figure out a way to handle. Right. So I knew what I was doing in terms of training and the gymnastics thing. If he come to me and said, well, I want to do some football thing. Oh, I don't know football. Yeah, so then it's different. Exactly. But you right in my element. Mm-hmm. You right into the gymnastics thing. You came here. You want to do that? Oh, man, that's 100%. I'm good. I'm good. So then we just started putting people to do, the trampoline thing, all this gymnastic stuff. And Marion loved it. All of them was like, man, we love this stuff, right? And that's how we started. And after that, just by them talking, because I didn't really, I didn't really care much about social media at that time.
Sure.
But but like I said, people coming in, they were coming and like Bryce Butler was there, and then and all those people coming in and stuff, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome, and
I'm on to something here.
Yeah, and then I was like, yeah, why don't I just bring this where I can really spend some time with that and really help those athletes the way I think I can help. For sure. Bringing the gymnastics and bringing, the flexibility, like the range of motion, the mobility, they need it.
Yes.
Because, Marion was tight. And Marion said, he told me, he said, Igor, man, I wish I had met you in college. Because, a lot of injuries that he had, maybe it could help there.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And he said, it's like, man, I wish I had met you earlier. But I mean, I met you now. So now Marion was there every day. Every day Marion was there.
A believer.
And believer. He believed that in 100%. And like at that time, the lockout was going. Marion was here with the Cowboys, and I knew how Marion was doing that time. He was doing great condition wise because they didn't have a place to work out. Like he would come to the gym every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we work out every day and stretching every day. So I knew how Marion was feeling that time, in terms of how his body were, like how physically he was feeling, and how like he was really want to go back and really had a great season with the Cowboys that year.
Sure.
But the Cowboys let him go that time.
Mm.
So, they let him go and he went to Chicago. And I knew that he was going to do good. I knew because he was feeling good and he had a very great season over there in Chicago. But Marius was like, I think he played a year. He had a 2-year contract and then, decide to, retire and stuff.
Right.
But it changed his life. And then I started seeing like athletes getting more, care about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would come and say, a new athlete would come and say, man, I need to get that stretch that Marion got it. He talked to me about it.
Right.
Or, Felix John, oh man, so that's how things grew, and from there, I've been doing this until now. And today I have over 200 players that I work with.
Man,
and and that is, just no word of I'm not really doing much of advertising and stuff out there.
Right. And
then most of the athletes that I work, like the way I do things, the way I go through with the routines and stuff, they always tell me, Igor, I be stretched by a lot of people, and some people do kind of things what you do, but the way you do it, the way you go about it and do all this, I never done anything like that. And that's why I think my reputation is good out there. And one, I care about the athletes, they know that, mm-hmm. And I'm not there, just because it's a big name, I go there because I want to help them, and they know that, Igor's here to help me, I treat them like my friends or like anybody else.
Right.
They just know,
treat them like people,
yeah. And they're all a bunch of athletes that want to be the best they can be. Mm-hmm. I go to their house, I met their family, I met their kids, and, and I try, to keep, they, just give everybody there. I play around with the kids all the time. They all know me. I come over there. Hey, Igor here.
Right.
I've been with Chris Harris for 9 years now. So I know all his kids. And I think that's the relationship, the connection. The friendship that we develop. It sometimes is even more than just that stretch.
Right.
But that's why I'm there. I'm there to make sure that I can help them. Play longer.
That's a beautiful
stay in
thing.
the league long, or
yeah. And then as a person, at some point, their careers will be done, but at least we got a relationship formed here.
No, yeah. I met Michael Irving in 1995. I coached his kids
way
that
back.
time.
Yeah.
I coached his kids gymnastics. And I got back with Mike 10, 15 years later. And now I see Mike almost every day once he's here. Mm-hmm. I stretch Mike almost every day. Mike come to work out with me almost every day. So, I think that relationship is important. I work with the athletes to help them with their sport, but I want them to continue doing after they're done.
Right.
Because I think, like I said, I think flexibility and keep your body intact with the flexibility is very important. Mm-hmm. I think you got to do that for the rest of your life. I think you got to stretch for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. You got to, those things, I think that, as a human, it's very important for us. Because again, I think more you can have a better mobility, as you get older, in a flexibility, better, adult or old age you're gonna be. Mm-hmm. So why not just continue doing it? And that's what I try to talk to them about, and that's why I think after I got back with Michael, I think his life changed a little bit. I can tell, how his body feels now. He's a completely different person. His flexibility, his range of motion, his mobility is much better. You saw him there today doing that stuff.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But that's actually a good segue, because I got 3 more things I want to throw at you, and then I'll turn you loose, I promise. But I can just look at you and tell that you got one of those frames with the way if I didn't know you, I could tell, oh yeah, this brother right here has an athletic background. So what does Igor do these days to keep yourself in shape? I would imagine you're still active, right? Taking care of your own body.
I'm very active. You know,
Okay.
like one thing that I change a lot is how I eat. Okay.
Figured you might take me there.
Yeah, I'm a very picky eater.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't before though.
Right.
You know, maybe like 7-8 years ago,
Right.
I was
Enjoying
almost
yourself.
240 pounds.
Really?
You know, working a lot but eating, you know,
Poorly.
poorly. You know, and I had to change. You know, because I remember I was with my wife and my daughter one time. We were eating, and I used to drink coffee and cream and put so much cream and so much sugar in it.
Right.
So my daughter looked at me and said, "Dad, I don't think so. You're gonna be able to see my grandkids." Damn.
Yeah, that's
I changed
tough.
right there.
That's tough there.
I changed right there. You know, I stopped. No more sugar. I changed my whole nutrition. I lost 50 pounds. I came from 240 pounds to 170 pounds. A lot of my friends thought I was sick. And no, I just I got determined that I was gonna lose weight, and I'm not gonna ever go back there.
Right.
You know, and I been keeping my weight now for almost 7-8 years now. You know, and I don't want to go back there. And a lot of this too, you know, like the losing weight situation, you know, and the way I wanted my body to be now has a lot to do too, you know, with there was my daughter talked to me about it, but you know, my mom was a big part of that too. Because my mom has problem with diabetes and blood pressure and all, and she was having problem with that for a long time. And I decided to talk to my mom about changing that, you know, like the way she eat. I went back to Brazil a while ago, and I talked to my mom about it. You know, eat more healthy, eat more vegetables, you know, more fruits and stuff. And stay away from eating, you know, fried food and all that kind of stuff. Try to stay healthy and stuff. And she really did it pretty well. You know, I couldn't stay there that long, but I said, Mom, I want you to really pay attention on this and try to lose some weight here. And she did it really good. She worked very good. She lost a lot of weight on it. You know, like her cholesterol went, you know, got better. Diabetes got better. You know, she still have to kind of work on it. You know, stay, you know, focus on nutrition and stuff. But she's doing much better. But after I went to visit my mom, I came back here, and right when we got back, you know, I drove home and I got home, you know, from the flight from Brazil. It was like 12 hours flight. So I got home and my feet were swollen. Remember, I think I told you that. So I thought it was from the flight, right? So I was like, okay, you know, that was 12 hours flight. I think I'm just like, you know, tired or something. I'll go to sleep. Tomorrow will be better. So I woke up the next day. My feet still swollen, my feet. And I was like, hey, that's not a good sign. I don't know about this. I got to kind of check this out, you know. So I went to take my blood pressure. It was high. It was a very high blood pressure, you know, like it was like around 150 something by 190, 100 something. Jeez. And I was like, well, you know, I got to kind of pay attention to this and, you know, see what's going on here. Maybe check this for a while. And I said, well, I think the biggest thing is I need to change. I need to figure out a way to change. But, you know, I didn't want to put too much like, you know, like stuff on my body that was not a natural thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to find a way that I can go and bring that down without really, you know, be dependent on, you know, like pills and all that kind of stuff. Right.
Makes total sense.
And then when we were at a restaurant and my daughter told me about drinking that coffee without the sugar, it was the point of stop. So I was like, okay, I got to change. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try kind of the same thing that I did to my mom. I'm going to do the same thing. So
take your own advice.
Take my own advice and stick with that.
Yes,
so
sir.
I did that. I started blending food. Okay? I started putting a lot of food in a blender. And at that time, I didn't care much about it. That would be anything. I'll put it in a blender. Because I thought it that way. I said, like, I don't know. Am I eating food I'm not chewing enough? And I think that the food is not breaking down enough. That's my thought of that time, right?
I wouldn't have gone there, but that's all right.
But I was like, what about if I blend that and drink that like a smoothie or like a soup?
Right.
So then I don't need to chew much. My body's not gonna get stressed out that much to break that food down. So then maybe I lose some weight. And I'm telling you, I started losing weight. And I started feeling better, like where I didn't feel stuffed. I didn't feel that. And I was like, something is changing here. Mm. So what I did is, okay, so now I'm going to go a little bit more in it. I'm going to start putting vegetables, all this stuff together. I'm going to blend it all that. And I'm going to use as a food. I'll blend it. I'll put it on on a cup or something. And I started, going to the gym and drinking that. And I'm telling you, I'm talking about everything that I could put in a blender, I'll put it in. Okay? Vegetables, spices, herbs, beans, everything. Okay? The beans was cooked and stuff. I kind of cooked it and put it there. So I was like, well, let me do that. So I did that and I started drinking and losing weight. Mm-hmm. But that was so hard to do it. I was like, well, I got to figure out another way to kind of do that. So I did all that and I put it in a mold, popsicle mold. Right? Because I said, well, that way I can make maybe 100 of them. And then I don't need it to be, worrying about making every day.
Right.
So I'll make it 100 of them and I'll go and eat it.
Yeah, you saved yourself some time.
Yes, save some time. So I put it in a mold, I froze it, and I will take it out and I'll go eat. I'll bring it to the gym and go eat in that. And I start doing that and I feel good. I'm start losing weight and stuff. And at that same time, there was a time that I had all those athletes there. Mm-hmm. Marion, Felix John, Tishard, all those people. And they're seeing me eating those popsicles. They're like, Igor, what are you eating? Is that all you eating? What is that? Ding. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I eat now. And they're like, well, can we try? I said, well, yeah, I can get you one of you guys and try. So I gave each one of them one of those popsicles. And they took a little bite on it. And they made a kind of weird face and stuff. And didn't want to say nothing to me, but they all kind of walked out to outside and went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And they came back with nothing on their hand. I was like, what the heck, man? That's my food. What did you guys do? Did you guys throw it?
You got rid of it.
I walk over there, it's all the popsicle in the garbage. Mm-hmm. And I was like, guys, well, why you don't like it? I like it. It's cool. I said, Igor, you crazy. That thing stays, that's disgusting.
That's the worst.
And I said,
they thought it was something
and I was
sweet.
Like, come on, man. That's what I eat. That's like, look, that's how, I'm losing weight and all. But that was a good sign because they hate it. And that hate of that thing that day make me think about that. Hey, you know what? I'm going to do work on this and you guys going to love this thing one day. I didn't tell them that.
Right.
But I said, I'm going to start working on it. And I did a lot of work on it. I even brought a chemist one time to talk to me about it. I was like, I need to try to change this. I got to try to make sure that this is working. And I need to make sure those people is going to like it, because it kind of got on me. I'm doing this. I'm spending time doing this and they throw that in the garbage. I got to find a way they're going to like it. So I'm working on it and he started putting things together and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, the taste will start changing. And it started getting a little better. And then maybe 3-4 months later, and it tasted pretty good to me. I was like, much better than it was before. I was like, I'm going to bring it to them and see if they like it. I gave it to Marion. I said, Marion, why don't you try? I said, Igor, I don't want to try that. It's bad. That's disgusting.
I did this already. Right?
Yeah, what do you think? I said, Marion, just try. I said, just try, man. And I think you're going to like this now. So he took a bite on it. I was like, wow. This is not the same thing, Igor. I said, no, it's the same thing. I just changed it. You guys that day hate it and throw it in the garbage. I made a promise to myself that I was going to make it better. You guys are going to like it. Marion liked it. He ordered 6, it was like 6 boxes of it. Oof. And then he kept eating. And then all the guys like it. He wanted that. Igor, I wanted that. I want to eat that. That's what I want to eat. I like it. I was like, well, so what's the difference now? Well, I don't know, Igor, but it's better.
I know it tastes better.
No, it tastes much better.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that you had it before. I said, yes, I just work on it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell anybody the secret.
No, but you made some tweaks though.
I made a lot of tweaks.
I like that.
And since that time, they said, Igor, why don't you put this as a business? I was like, I never thought about it. I said, yeah, why not? So then I decided to start selling it and giving to people. And I went to a lot of gymnastics competition. I would bring and give them samples.
Right.
And some people like it. And And I opened a website. The website was there. We had a kitchen that we started, making in a kitchen. It was a real kitchen, like all approved by the state and everything. So we did everything there. And the website was open, and people will start asking and question, hey, can I have some?
Right.
And I was sending to New York, California,
You
all those places, right? But the problem is people just wanted like a box. They want to try a box and stuff. It was like, I can just send, one box. I got to send more. And it started getting expensive because the dry ice is so expensive.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't be sending these things. It's too expensive. I can't do it, right? So then we had to go and start like, shut the website. I was like, I can't do that. We just need to maybe do this here in Texas or here in Dallas.
The demand was a little bit too high.
Yeah. And I started doing it. I still, do some of it. For me, I do it. That's what I eat pretty much all day.
Got you.
Right? I eat around maybe, 5 to 10 to 15 a day. I still eat food,
Right.
but I try to stay more in, with the popsicle, but because I believe it. I know how my body is. I know how my body looks for 6 to 7 years without changing. My weight go from 170 to 180 and it stay there. Okay. And so I don't need to be worrying about, I'm going to eat this. I need this. I can't stop eat this. So I stay consistent on it. And then on the weekends, me and my wife, we go eat sushi. I love sushi. So
you got to enjoy yourself.
Yeah. But, now all the cravings for that food, for that sugar and stuff, I don't have it. Like I used to go eat and whatever they were eating, can I have that too? Like today, I don't have it. You can put food in front of me, whatever. I just look at it. I don't need it. The craving went away. But I think just by me focus on try to really change where I was going, where I would be with my weight, diabetes, blood pressure. Right. Maybe if I had not changed it, I maybe wouldn't be here today.
That's the real.
I think that's a very important part as an athlete, as a human. I think like sometimes we eat because the cravings and the stress, because a lot of times that's how I felt before. Right. I was working a lot of stress and stuff, so I always would have it to eat. So you never really pay attention much. I would stop at gas station and get things, like 2-3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? Like never really healthy food, whatever, like stop, fast food and get it, and never really pay attention to myself where, man, Igor, you're 240 pounds. Right. Your family got diabetes. So why, men in your family die very early. Right. So I never really pay attention to those things because you're busy, you're working and stuff. You just like not really focus much until something happened. Yeah. To my mom, to my daughter telling me that, to me coming and see my feet swollen, I had to change. Right. So I had to make a difference. I had to make sure that I will be there to see my daughter's kids one day. And like my wife is young, so I gotta make sure I keep up. So, I got to make sure that I want to be here as long as God want me to be here. And I will do everything I need to be and to be living my life the way I like it. Beautiful thing. Helping athletes, helping humans, helping other people helping me. And I think connections, relationships, I think those things is important.
That's what it's about, man. Here's how I'll wrap this thing up. Will you tell me about Highlight? Right? Which I love that name, by the way. And also tell me about the significance of having your family, your wife, your daughter, and her boyfriend. I got to meet all of them today. Tell me about the significance of having all of them intertwined in your business.
Well, I think without family, I think I wouldn't be able to do anything. Without my wife, I wouldn't be able to do anything because I do the work, the heavy work, but she's the one behind the scenes doing all the other part. That, without her, I can't do it. Right, babe? I love you. And I can't do it. I just can't. I think my family is my engine and the supreme gas to make me going. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Igor has to be a Ferrari.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I'm the one driving.
Right.
But they're the one, the fuel to keep me driving.
That's the pit crew, baby.
Without my daughter, my wife, my mom, my family, my kids, my athletes, Igor will be nobody. And I'm telling you, like all the people that's involved in my life is an engine, is an engine for me to every day want to wake up and be. I never stop. I get up every day at 5 o'clock. I don't come home until 9, 10 o'clock, and like I just don't. I work every day. But I think work is good. Work keep me alive. Work keep me, like, healthy. And but I couldn't do this without my wife, my daughter, and my mom, and my family, and my friends. And highlight. It's funny because I think highlight, my wife that got that name. I think she's the one that I don't remember. We were talking about, what are we gonna do about the name for my trampoline stuff, and and she came up. I don't even remember how you did it, but anyway, she came up with the name highlight. High intense, low impact. Because that's what that's what my training, my stuff is. It's a high intense work, but a very low impact, right? Yes, and I was like, well, and she goes highlight. I was like, hey, there we go.
Bingo.
That's perfect. And that's how we started, and that's how the trampoline is. And if I can help the athletes train in a very high intense where their heartbeat is up, when they're doing it, but a very low impact where it's not much of punishing on the body.
Right.
That's what I want to do. I think that's what the future of sports is going to be. And if you people understand and take the time to see how your body's working with that amount of motion and things that happen while you're doing that, and I think they will understand that that's how I think the future of training is going to be. I believe it 100%. Because I've been doing this for so long. Like I've been around the trampoline for so long. I've been around, so I know. And to do what you saw me doing there today, nobody does. Nobody does. They don't. They can say whatever. Right. You can go to trampoline and do a little thing here and there, but I think like the way I do, the way the interact between me and the athletes, I know I'm the one doing it.
You're the league
I have athletes that have told me, Igor, if you're not there, I'm not doing it. If it's not you, I'm not doing it. And and again, I'm not putting anybody down. It's not about putting anybody down. It's about what I do. Like with my highlight, with the trampoline, with the stretching that I do, is something that I developed, that I've been doing for so long, that I don't know how many people, like when you talk about stretching and the highlight work, the high intense, low impact work,
right?
That's something that I develop and I work where I know I'm an expert on that. I understand. I know what you need to do. Trampoline is something that's dangerous. It's not an easy thing. A lot of people get hurt on trampoline. So you got to know how that works. You got to know how that. It's not just go over there and do it. And you got to remember too, you get an athlete that's number one pick, or a very high level athlete that make a lot of money. So you got to know what you do. You got to know what you're doing. You got to understand what you're doing, how much you do. It's not, this is, I'm gonna get excited about it, I'm gonna do it. No, you got to know. You got to know how much you do, how much you push. Especially in those things. It's not about the training, like all the training outside what I do. Because all those guys are awesome. I know a lot of trainers. I know a lot of, like, they all friends of mine. They do a great job. They, I love what they do. They're very good trainers. My work is help them. Right. It's like the trampoline work is a part where is what's the word I'm trying to say, babe? Is a supplement to the training that you're doing out there, right? It's where like let me add that to my train, because I know it's gonna help me, especially with little muscles, balance, core, all those. And that's where the highlight is more specific in it, and then you add all the stuff that I did into it that you saw it today,
right?
And then it's just in a different level. It's a different thing, and so that's pretty much how the highlight started. The name started through my wife. She's the one that got that name, and the training, the whole philosophy of how it goes and why it goes is more to kind of like make sure that the athletes, play longer, stay healthier longer, and longevity. I think that's a very important part of a highlight. And I'm Igor's mobility method. Like the flexibility and the Igor's method thing that I do is just to bring into to the coaches, to the athletes, another tool that can help them play longer, stay in the sport longer, make more money, because longer you're in a sport, more money you're gonna make it, right?
Simple.
Right? So that's simple. Athletes sometimes, they, the average athlete in the NFL is 4 years, right? So if we can change that 4 years to 8 years, I did my job. If we can change the 8 to 12, so that's the key. And that's why today you have so many people doing it. You have so many ways today that you can, if you pay attention on it and really be focused and keep your business going, your body going, your Ferrari going. It's everything is out there for you to do it. Just look for it and go get it. And again, Igor's method is here, highlight is here, and we are here to help everybody that need it.
Great way to end it right there, my brother. Igor, I'm a fan, my man.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you for helping me out and bringing me to your podcast. That's amazing.
Man, and I learned a lot listening to you, my man. Much success, and I can't wait to see you in the morning.